Cyber season is in full swing with our pals Isotope and Native Instruments.
Get huge discounts on everything from Guitar Rig 7,
Complete 14 bundles,
and one of our favorites here at the Cult and Culture Podcast,
Ozone 11 EQ. Go to isotope.com
and nativeinstruments.com
to feast on the audio goodness. Yum.
You can also get additional savings on other softwares by using the code
RUIN10.
DistroKid now also has a motherfucking app. The DistroKid app is available for iOS and Android. You can download it at distrokid.com/app/, or you can get it in the App Store.
Fuck. All right, we're rolling.
Planet B
Presents.
Cult and Culture Podcast.
Welcome to episode 34 of the Cult and Culture Podcast. I'm Justin Pearson.
And I'm not. This is Luke Hinshaw.
Man, this episode has the legendary D Styles on it from...
So much stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's he's a very good friend of mine for probably about 25 years.
He's a new friend of mine, and I'm fucking psyched.
Yep. Invisibl Skratch Piklz, Beat Junkies, Low End Theory, which I don't know if it's still going, but he does have a project I do want to mention. It's called 545, and it's him, Excess, Mike Boo, and Private Peep Show. And it's fucking interesting because they travel to different places in the world. I think the last one they traveled to Thailand, and they go and rent out music studios, and then they lock themselves in there pretty much. I think it's for like 5 days, and they start from scratch and record a whole album. It was pretty fucking dope.
Does the instrumentation change?
Yeah, they just all kind of just pick different roles, but yeah. And it's
They're all
done
turntablists?
All of them.
Oh, okay. So I thought maybe there's like other people jamming. And
Yeah,
stuff.
no, it's a turntable band.
That's sick.
So,
man, it's crazy because he's featured on the upcoming Planet B album, and it really blew my mind. I grew up like with breakdancing, and like a lot of hip hop and like turntablist kind of stuff, but like it was really having myself be on a song with someone brought it like full force. I already loved the craft and the instrument and the sounds that come from that kind of stuff, but like being on a song with that guy just changed the game for me. It's so fucking sick.
yeah.
And he's just an awesome dude. He's so cool. We had like a moment where he was like, I think we have a mutual friend, Sonny K, and I was like, that was a trip because if you guys aren't familiar with Sonny K, you should be. He was in Angel Hair and the VSS, and he ran GSL Records. He's kind of like, Sonny is like me, or to me is sort of like D Styles to you. Like we're just old friends.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah.
Small world.
It's pretty rad. But it's cool that we dove into like a lot of the, well, you'll hear it in a minute, but we dove into like the sort of like parallels of different genres of music and sort of redefining it or like making it something unique or your own, which because it is a unique instrument. Like turntablism is like sort of the like to me, and this is no disrespect, but it's sort of like noise. I mean, musically speaking, it's not like, oh, that's the keys, the whatever fucking musical structure of something. It's totally redefining.
There's so much hate and debate in regards to like, oh, is this an instrument? And fuck yes, it is by far. Yeah. Like fuck those people. And it was cool to have him down, even though it was super short. But I think he flew in like at 11, and we went to go eat lunch. Came here, we recorded a video for the Planet B song, and then podcast. And then Kindred.
And then he was out.
Yeah, back to the airport pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was a cool day.
Yeah, it was. Man, what a fucking amazing dude. I'm psyched. I can't wait for you guys to check out this podcast. Obviously, the new Planet B record as well. The song specifically that features him is just so insane. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I'd also like to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor. It's a t-shirt company called Low Level. It's LOWLVL. They gave me this shirt here. If it brings me to my knees, it's a Bad Religion. Has nothing to do with the band Bad Religion, but it is definitely on the offensive tip. They have this other shirt. It's one of my favorites. It says "Fuck Ronald Reagan and his war on drugs."
Yes.
That one goes over really well at, everywhere, especially
At
like
yoga class?
Yoga goes really well. They're like, "Hey, nice shirt," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm wearing that shirt." It says "Fuck that dead guy" on it. Anyhow, if you check out their site, they have tons of weird stuff, weird in a good way. Weird shirt designs, and if you enter the let's see, there's a discount code. If you just enter shirts, you'll get 20% off your order.
Which is great.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
and I just would say check it out. It's a rad company. Their stuff is very has this sort of cool DIY feel to it, which a lot of people try to rip off or emulate and don't pull it off. So I think Low Level definitely does. They're rad. So check them out. Pick up a shirt. Check out D Styles. And here we go.
Like,
So D Styles. I have a couple different groups. Invisibl Skratch Piklz, Beat Junkies, another group called 545. That's about it.
we've been trying to get this podcast going for fucking a long ass time. So welcome.
Oh, man, thank you, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, just watching you perform today too on the Planet B song was pretty impressive. I mean, I've seen it, but it was just rad to see you do it to the song I've been unfortunately having to listen to way too much, in the studio.
I know how that is, man. Yeah.
So how can we start at the beginning, like how you got into this and where it all came from for you?
In the scratching?
Yeah.
I mean, like 84, 85, breaking came to the West Coast, and I tried to dabble in all of it. I tried to rap, I tried to beatbox, graffiti, break, and scratch / DJ. And for some reason, scratching just felt natural. Like it felt like that was my voice, that was my calling. And so I stuck with it. I was whack at everything else, man. I sucked at rapping. I couldn't rap.
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that, man.
I have tracks of me rapping, so
Really?
we should start a rap group.
I'd love to hear that shit.
Oh my god, I have it here. I'll show it to you before you
I'll
leave.
do the turntables.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And we'll just be
Wait,
the worst.
wait, so what was your rap name then? Did you
I
have
never
one?
had
Oh,
one.
you weren't even at that level yet. then.
Yeah, no.
man.
Gotcha.
I did like 2 songs and it was like,
Okay.
this is not
I thought you
mine.
got a name first and then you start rapping.
No, I was backwards. MC backwards.
MC backwards. Oh man. But yeah, I tried to do it all, and scratching came natural. I felt like, so I stuck with that. You know what I mean? And I've gone through different phases where I was practicing every day, and I got into battling, and then I got sick of it, and I was like, fuck this is bullshit, and I stopped. And but I would always come back to it, man. And I'm lucky to still be here till this day, still doing it.
Yeah, still relevant.
Yeah.
So you kind of, insinuated some of your, I guess, influences, but what made you, I don't know, like, it just seemed, to me, it's such a, I too was into breakdancing and hip hop in the 80s, but I got derailed by skateboarding and punk. But to me, like, I always looked at it as such a bizarre form of music or art form, I guess, because it and a lot of it to me equates to like for like punk, where it's like not musical, and so and I don't mean that in any disrespect, but like it is like to someone that like goes to Berkeley or whatever, they'll be like, that's not an instrument, but it's a fucking instrument, and I can't even imagine how you would approach that, or like, do you feel like maybe you came up with it evolving?
Yeah, I mean, it's very punk rock-ish, like, you know what I mean, as far as the sound, and it's like a weird fucking language that only a few speak, you know what I mean? Only scratchers can understand what I'm really doing. And it's interesting you bring that up as far as the whole, it's to a classically trained music ear, it sounds like noise, right? So I think my goal has been to really try to make it sound more musical and more musical to the average Joe, you know what I mean? And so when I scratch, that's kind of my goal is to sound as ear friendly as possible.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
That's where you would say
Yeah.
the average Joe, because I feel like the average Joe would be like, that's sick. Where like someone that's like classically trained to be like, that's garbage.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like win them over.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, like I'll probably never even win them over. Like,
Yeah, fuck
forget
'em,
it.
right?
Yeah, like they're never gonna be on the same page and not see the beauty of it. I mean, scratching is very. It's like a bastard language. Like it's something that came from fucking, from the early days of hip hop, and it wasn't supposed to be this musical art form. And guys that came before me, advanced it, and I learned from them, and I'm trying to like carry on that torch.
Yeah, it was just like a filler, like a
Yeah,
drum
it was a
fill,
drum
and
fill.
now it's a lead. It's a
Right.
lead instrument.
Yeah, it was like a sound effect in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was guys like Grandmaster DST. He did the scratching on that song "Rocket" with Herbie Hancock, and he had this like 2-minute solo that was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
And he was on on the
One of the best songs ever, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean that song did it for me right there. That's when I saw it as a musical instrument.
Also, too, the fact that it was like an established, well-recognized musician, Herbie Hancock,
Yeah.
in the jazz world. He's
Right.
like, he came out with that shit at the right time. I mean,
Right.
breakdancing was the big deal, and fuck, that was the best song.
Yeah, and that video was bugged out too. You
Yeah.
remember the video?
Yeah.
So great.
So fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
But anything Herbie Hancock touches is going to be on that level, I think.
Yeah, but the fact that he gave someone like Grandmaster
Him the
DST
platform
the shine,
to do it, yeah.
yeah, and they were on these
Totally.
award shows and
Totally.
whatever, Soul Train and all these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I mean, I don't want to like diminish it, but like right time, right place, right time, because that was like all of the hype, breakdancing and stuff, and rapping or whatever was like the shit. So when Herbie Hancock did it, I mean, that was my introduction to Herbie Hancock as a kid. I didn't know who he was as a jazz artist. I was too young.
Totally, me too.
Yeah, I was
Me
just
too.
like, this guy.
Yeah,
And then I went and
same
got all
here.
his other records, and I'm like, I'm not a big fan of his other stuff. I just want that.
Right.
But, okay, I'm sorry, but as like a 10-year-old or what, 9,
as a
whatever,
10-year-old,
I was
I
just
get
like,
it,
what?
yeah.
I want the robot shit.
Right,
Like,
right. Sonically, it sounded so different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know.
It took me a minute to mature. I just wanted,
Yeah, okay. No, you were 10. I
Yeah,
get it. I get
yeah.
it. Like, as a 10-year-old, I
Probably
probably
younger
would have
than that
not
even, yeah.
liked.
I think at the time I remember
Headhunters,
like
all
Falco
that
had that song "Rock Me Amadeus," and like
Yep.
all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked bullshit when I was a kid.
Yeah, but I think that was the beauty of it back then. In the early to late '80s there was that weird fusion experimentation going on with drum machines and with just weird vocals and scratching and shit like that, right? So yeah, that was a good time for music, I think.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a little bit after that was like I don't know, stuff like industrial music. Like I remember like Ministry and stuff where you're like you couldn't tell if like I remember seeing Ministry with 2 drummers and then figuring out that there was actually no drummers on the record, and that was a weird thing too.
Right.
But I liked that like it was strange sounds. They were like
Right.
sampling drills and shit. Like that's cool.
Right.
Redefining the way people looked at it.
Yeah, even groups like Art of Noise, were just doing like weird shit like that. And, that was the early days of
They
sampling.
didn't have scratching on it, did they?
No, but they would sample something that sounded like scratching, and they'd sample weird like
Noises.
cows
Yeah.
and sheep,
Yeah.
and
That band was great too.
Yeah.
But also too, I feel like maybe all the stuff at the time, like the Herbie Hancock video and Art of Noise video, like were just so visually. It was like seeing like I don't know what was like Terminator, something. It was just like weird apocalyptic stuff, post future, whatever. I don't know.
right.
Yeah. Do you have any like? I see it all the time. Fucking Instagram, Facebook. How do you feel towards like those haters that are like that? Like, oh, turntables, this is not an instrument. This is not, they're so stuck. They're just like, you're a fucking button pusher. And to me, I have it as the same take as just like you're taking a sound, you're manipulating the sound, and if it's true for the person who says that, then it would be the same as like a synthesizer. If I'm playing a saxophone,
pushing the button.
If I'm playing a saxophone through a keyboard, then I'm not a fucking piano player. You know what I mean? Or a keyboardist or whatever. Does that not phase you, or does
Right.
like?
I mean, you're always gonna get those kind of jackasses
All the
what I
time.
mean? But I don't know. I like I'll come across that once in a while, and I don't know. I don't really get bothered by it. I guess I'm used to it. I always have had haters and doubters and stuff. Like YouTube is the worst, man. Like YouTube comments.
You're doing something right if they're talking shit.
Yeah, right.
Like they spent that time typing that. Like I don't go talk shit about stuff that sucks.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
I'm like it just sucks. I don't care.
Sometimes I think it's my friends just kind of trying to troll me.
It's me.
That's you, right? But yeah.
Dude, I do that so many times.
I have a few accounts that I might do that with. But yeah, I don't know. I don't try to get too emotional with it. I think.
Yeah.
Also, too, it's like I think 10 out of 10 times someone that's talking shit can't do it.
Right.
Like, good luck trying to fucking do that.
There's some people that don't even try, but I think here, like, it's just to set the record straight. It's an instrument. It's a fucking instrument.
Yeah. No, it is totally, man. It is.
We just came up on the anniversary of hip hop, and they've been like making it known that like turntablism is like a thing, like a recognized instrument, DJing and stuff too, and like
it's weird. One thing I've noticed though is all that celebration stuff. I mean, they're always highlighting the MCs, the rappers more. You know what I mean? And a little bit of the DJs, and if they do give any love to the DJs, it's more of like the mix DJs and not really the turntablist side. You know what I mean? We don't really get that shine. You know what I mean? So, I mean, hip hop is so different from what it was in the 80s, and now it's all about the rappers, it seems like. And they don't give shine to the B-boys, they don't give shine to the graffiti artists, you know what I mean, and the turntablists.
Well, so I was always I grew up obviously liking the Beastie Boys, but until I figured out who Mixmaster Mike was, I was like, oh shit, he's making all the music that I like the sound stuff. Like Beastie Boys are great as MCs, but it was like,
they're really great beat makers too, though.
Yeah, but once I figured out because then I was getting Mixmaster Mike's solo records, and I was like, holy shit, this is the next level. Very influential for me. Even with like the Locust and stuff, I was like, oh, these sounds are amazing. So I think and still like to most of the average Joes, they wouldn't know who Mixmaster Mike was, and that's kind of a trip because you're right, people just look at the singer or whatever, the MCs or whatever.
And I mean, going back to Mike, man, I feel like that was his calling in life. He was meant to be with them. You know what I mean? He added so much to that group and to the sound, and I felt like what he brought was a breath of fresh air. It was kind of what they needed, you know what I mean, at the time. And that live element, since they came from from their backgrounds of being that band type of stuff, he brought that live part back in and doing stuff live.
I love Hurricane. Was so dope with the Beastie Boys, and especially that track he did with Ad Rock on Trespass. Was that movie with Ice-T? What's that movie? Stick 'em Up. Whatever, Ad Rock and Hurricane. Okay. But I do think Mixmaster Mike helped the Beastie Boys take it to, and that obviously introduced turntablism to a lot of fucking people.
It did.
Like especially that 3 MCs and 1 DJ video was,
and just his sound, it blended so well with their sound, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think he knew it too, as you're saying, like it was a calling. His ass fucking took the opportunity, like he worked hard for that, because he would leave them messages with just scratching with the wah-wah pedal and all that. Like,
wait, what?
They probably, Mixmaster Mike, I guess, got I think it was MCA's number, and would just keep calling him and like, hey, check out this new scratch with the wah-wah pedal that I did.
Yeah, he would leave like messages.
They probably got tired of it and were like, fuck it, come in the band.
I know, but the fact is they saved it and they used it on the album as a little like skit kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah. So.
Yeah, and Hello Nasty. Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it is. I mean, I guess because you were saying that like you look at it as I forgot how you put it, like a solo, right? Like you're soloing.
Yeah.
But then do you end up blending in what do you do for the rest of the song?
I mean, so if there's a open part where where they give you that shine, then that's when you're going to go off for your whatever 16 bars. Yeah. But I think as a musician and if you're like a mature one, you know when to go off and when not to.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like with Mike, I mean, he they would give him those moments to shine, and he knew when to go off, and him being a turntable musician. He knew when to lay out also, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the art of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever? Sorry, not to cut you off, but when going back, I don't want to make this the fucking Beastie Boys podcast. But when, shit, I forget what era it was, but when the Beastie Boys were with Mixmaster Mike after Hello Nasty, I think it was even before the Hot Sauce Committee or all that, when they were touring, they just dropped out all of the Beastie Boys original beats and went back to old school hip hop beats, and Mike would fucking play old break beats and just cut. And they would just come in and out and do like 30-minute shows of just like, he would mix the whole fucking show.
Right,
it was fucking so dope.
And that's what's dope is they brought it back to that. So Mike would make show vinyl just for rocking those shows. You know, he'd only press up 10 copies, and he'd put all the breaks and all that, and he would do that stuff live. So if it would skip, it skips, and they have to just roll with it, and that's kind of part of the being spontaneous part of it, man.
So in their set, would he be like the opening act, and then he would just keep
I think he
them?
would open up, like do a 10-minute, get the fucking crowd hype, and then they would play.
I mean, no offense to him, but I'm captivated. Like, so if I was to like see you just do a set, I could fucking be watching that shit and be so into it. I mean, obviously the Beastie Boys are great performers and the whole thing, but to see that happen on its own, where you're not distracted by 3 MCs, you're just like, I'm gonna watch this motherfucker do this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And what's crazy is Mike has gone on to like do, you know, he opened up for Metallica and he's on a few other tours, but you know what I mean. Like he's gone on to these big like Coliseum type of things.
Yeah, he's doing like Slipknot or something right now, where they're doing like digital fucking
right.
My like.
Wait, he's in Slipknot or
no? He's opening for one of those bands. I forget, but the fact that he has the Paul's Boutique instrumentals on vinyl.
Right.
Is nuts. Like, I would love to get my hands on that. That is the ultimate break album.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Paul's Boutique.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like a slept-on album too. Like, I feel
that's their best album.
Wait, why do you say slept on? You really think so?
Well, because people, I don't know. I don't feel like people talk about that album enough. You know, and they tend to talk about the Check Your Head or their first album, License to Ill. There you go.
For me, I mean, I loved License to Ill. And that was my attraction because it had like Slayer shit on it, you know, and I was like, oh, that's crazy, like what is going on? Right. But for me it was Paul's Boutique. I was like, this is bizarre. Musicians.
So you've always been open to that like left field stuff, because at the time, for people that were fans of License to Ill, that was almost like far right, or you know what I mean.
But like at the time, for me, when License to Ill came out, it was like License to Ill and you know, Run DMC, Raising Hell, and there wasn't. And I remember like getting into certain stuff because of breakdancing, like all that stuff on Tommy Boy records and shit like that. Right. But I remember getting Paul's Boutique and kind of tripping out on it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's like Led Zeppelin samples and stuff on there, you know, and I could hear that. I was like, what the fuck? And so then that was me like learning, like, oh my gosh, they're taking all this other stuff and repurposing it. Right. So it's more like
the Dust Brothers, though. They're the ones who they linked up. They went to L.A. linked up with. Was it the Dust Brothers?
Yeah.
They linked up with them, so they're the ones who actually did a lot of the production on Paul's Boutique.
But there was all this live instrument playing. Like
there was a few of it, but Check Your Head was when they really got into the live instrumentation. But Paul's Boutique is pretty much what ruined a lot of sampling rights. That album had so much shit. That's when the fucking
that's when they started cracking down on that shit. Yeah.
Which you can't really do it now, right? I mean, can you?
Yeah, you can. You just gotta fucking pay for it.
You gotta pay.
Or just to not sell.
Sell under the radar. Yeah,
I sold 50 albums. The lawyer's not gonna want it. It's not enough money for them to take you to court.
It's a waste of time, right.
So
this I can't remember his name. I sent you a link to it. This people solicit my label 31G every now and then with stuff, and this guy sent me this thing, and they're like, and it was crazy because all of it, he would sample these little pieces of like Dead Kennedys or Black Flag, and I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking killer, and he'd rap over his MC. But I was like, man, I know like Greg Ginn's not gonna let that happen. You have Black Flag on every other song.
That shit was so dope.
Right. Yeah, really or like the Dead Kennedy stuff. I'm like, that just seems like all of it's noticeable. Every song has at least one or two punk bands in it, like that are the sort of legacy bands. But I was like, how can I put that out? Like I can't
do it like Jay-Z did it and put it out for free. That's
Yeah.
how he got fucking super big. Is he did all the Beatles samples and he did the Grey album and he gave it out for free.
Grey album.
And everybody.
But he was already established when he did the Grey album.
Yeah, but he probably owned like a house. But by that time, he probably owned a few houses after that, I would say. Like, that shit got him fucking big.
Yeah.
Right.
And as being a ghostwriter, too. I mean, he wrote a lot of shit for Dr. Dre, I believe.
Did he really?
He wrote Still Dre.
Jay-Z wrote that?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, and Eminem wrote, I know Eminem wrote for Dre, too, as well.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. But I didn't know Jay-Z. I didn't.
Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, he wrote the lyrics.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Almost
He's
sounded
a
like you were singing
ghostwriter.
the Pee Wee Herman song.
Dun, 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 dun. So anyways, beyond Beastie Boys, when I first met you, it was weird because my whole background as a kid was fucking Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Iron Maiden was my life. And then it transitioned, blah, 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 years later. Beats, turntables, hip-hop, all this shit.
Yeah.
So when I met you, I thought it was going to be, going transitioning into the hip hop world, everything was hip hop.
Yeah.
Everything was fucking hip hop. And then when we first started hanging out, you're like, you like Cannibal Corpse? And I'm like, of course, and you just knew all these like fucking death metal bands and all of this shit. Like, how did you get there?
I mean, I was always searching for new music, you know what I mean? And I had friends that listened to all kinds of stuff. And then just hanging out with Qbert. He was heavily into like Slayer. He listened to another band from Sweden, Voivod. There was another band, Refused. I think he got me into Melt Banana. And and just being around that, I was always searching for different things and different music to be inspired from. And death metal was one of them, man. And it was I just saw a lot of parallels to scratching and to what we were doing. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. When I met you, I think I had a feeling you were into that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's dope.
And they're both absurd music forms. And I mean, I say that lovingly. They're both totally absurd, so it makes sense.
Right. That's funny you remember that, man.
Yeah. That's crazy that I remember everything, by the way. But it's funny that Qbert was into that too, or is into that too. I wonder, he doesn't like really express it,
He doesn't talk about it too much, man. But he was, he got me open to like a lot of the jazz stuff, a lot of Miles and Thelonious Monk. We'd always have these conversations of like, hey, what are you listening to? What should I be listening to? What should I check out? You know what I mean? And so I don't know. He was. How you'll have a select number of friends that are always hip on the next shit or whatever. And he was kind of one of them. So.
One time he asked me, he's like, how'd you make that beat? He would always be like, what are you using on that beat? And I was like, this is a Slayer sample from like Rain and Blood. You gotta go like find it. It's in the record. Yeah. Fucking lied out of my ass. Wasn't even in there at all. I used to do that at a lot of people. Like,
just to throw them off and shit.
Just because I'm not gonna tell you.
Marian Faithful or something, not Slayer.
Dude, it was way off. Even for anybody to believe me, I'd be like, I would throw them like in left field. It was like a polka record that I got it from, and would tell him like, oh yeah, it's fucking,
right.
Like, how the hell it's a kick and a snare, and that whole album is just distortion guitar.
Yeah.
But they would believe me.
It's funny. So I don't know how we got their records early on. Someone gave us these First Power records. It was I think it was your first record, and me and Q would listen to it, and we would loop up 8 bars of just these little snippets and scratch over them, and we're like, who the fuck is Disco Rick? And and Henshaw and Zillagod, you know, and like we didn't know like who you guys were, man, and it was just crazy when we finally met you. Then it was like, all right, I want to find out like what did you use to make all these grimy ass dirty beats? You know what I mean? And so we were always trying to pick your brain and shit.
Yeah, always. And it was just that we were fucking poor. Like everybody always used to think like I was using guitar pedals, I was using cheap ass shit, and I was buying I was in the 50 cent bin while everybody was trying to go and like be these record hunters and I'm gonna go get James Brown, and I'm like, that was already done. I was sampling like country music or whatever I can get my hands on. Like I'd come home with junk, and then that's what those albums were made from fucking junk. But I would tell people, oh yeah, whatever, Distortion XQ 2000, go find that, because I didn't want them knowing what we were doing.
Right.
So
that's an interesting, I guess a parallel to that would be like we just had John Reese from Drive Like Jehu and Rock the Crip on our podcast, and I always trip out on him because he has this Marshall JCM 800 guitar head that looks fucked, like it looks super fucked, and his guitar looks super fucked. And then I'll see people that like are constantly hype, like posting like my brand new blah blah blah, and you're just like, dude, this is crazy. Like John is the best guitar player, and he has the biggest piece of shit forever because it works perfect, you know. And even like when someone recently stole his guitar, this was like maybe a couple years ago, and they did this sting operation and found out who stole it and got it back, but he was all bummed because they took like this. There was like a sticker of like a swordfish on it, or like, you know, they cleaned it up, and he's like, oh, I wanted it to be like shitty looking, you know, because it had like soul.
The essence of the guitar.
That's funny because I was just talking to Luke about his MPC in the studio, and it's basically chromed out where all the pads are, just off of, you know, years of abuse.
Oh yeah, I mean? yeah. And people want nice shit. You know? It's kind of a trip.
Right. It's weird, man.
I and then it's nice to like go to my friends' places and they have like all of these guitars. And you're like, I just have two, because I need two, and that's it. And I've had two for 20 years, you know, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, totally. It's like when your old Funk Shit Up shirt, let your fingers do the talking.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm very much the same way. It's like, let the music do the talking, and let it, like, it doesn't have to, you don't have to like have all this gear. Like the gear doesn't make the musician, or I hate calling myself a musician, but it doesn't have to make you, you know. And I love shitty shit. I fucking drink shitty beer, and I like, you know, like, like,
you know, it's weird. I went through
the streets.
Like I went through sort of this phase where I started to buy every drum machine that I wanted as a kid because I couldn't afford it, you know, and then I ended up stockpiling all kinds of crap, and I was like, it became too much, and I was like, man, I'm drowning in all this gear and I'm not using it, and it's too much. All I really need is one fucking simple, you know, sampler and my one turntable and a mixer, and that's it. And I ended up selling it, but I went through a weird phase where I was buying all kinds of crap just because, you know, it was this classic legendary thing that I thought you had to have, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a weird phase.
I mean, maybe having the classic legendary thing is one thing, because they can't, like I play the Ampeg SVT bass head, and they have the classic, which isn't a classic, but if you have like the real one from the 70s, it's better and different than the classic. So you just get the real one and live your life with that one,
right?
You know,
right.
And don't fuck with the other stuff, you know. I mean, because people will see my head and be like, you have a vintage, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I've had it since I was 20. Damn. You know, that was this. I've only owned 2 bass heads ever,
right?
But it works, and it'll always work. I don't need the new shit,
right?
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But it is crazy how people, I mean, that's a whole other story. We can talk about capitalism or whatever. Like, why do you need new stuff? If you have if you have your tool that makes your craft or your thing great.
Right.
Unless it's going to help you advance.
Do you, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm just curious, like, as far as like getting gear, do you get stuff from like different companies that want you to try stuff out and give feedback and, you know, help out in that way?
You know, it's fun. That's a good question. Yeah, so Earthquaker obviously, but
they're awesome.
But so for me, I got like sponsored by a friend of mine to be sponsored by Ampeg, because I use Ampeg bass head, and my bass is a Dan Armstrong.
Okay.
But all my shit's vintage, not like my shit's vintage, you know, but it's vintage because I just play like these old weird guitars,
Right.
and they're like, that's cool, we'll sponsor you, but we sell nothing that you play,
Right.
and I'm like, that's fine, and then but their sponsorship is just like a discount, you know, and I'm like, that's not gonna help me. It looks cool, feels cool to be like, yeah, they're sponsoring me, but I don't get anything. But with like Earthquaker, they're homies, like they're a company that works like
They're punk.
very ethically, you know, and so they're like, they had us perform at NAMM, you know, and like we were just dicking around with fucking making noise and shit.
Yeah,
They want that because everyone else is out there, you know, doing their
Performance.
whatever.
Yeah.
And
We just I was on the MPC and he was on the bass.
Yeah.
Sick.
Like the oddest pairing.
yeah,
you would think.
we just like
Yeah.
and
synced
we
up all
sat
this
on
noise.
the floor and played.
Damn.
It's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
you know, like that, and like I love Earthquaker. I feel like they're kind of, I don't know how to equate. I mean, they all come from like punk bands and stuff. It makes
Okay.
sense.
It makes sense.
You know,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like a company like Marshall or whatever wouldn't really do the same thing. You know,
Yeah,
and and also too, like what kind of product can certain companies give you? You know, like. As a bassist, like, yeah, you can send me whatever you want. I would love to have all that stuff. Like, because we're sponsored by Fender, and they gave us this Jackson bass that's it feels like a Rickenbacker. It feels really, really nice. I'm not trying to diminish Fender itself, but it plays really, really nice.
It's dope.
And it's in the studio. It's gonna live here. It's great, but it also isn't like
It's at my house actually.
oh, it's at your house, yeah. It's not gonna like replace the Dan Armstrong that I have.
Right.
The Dan Armstrong feels like a glove,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It is your glove though. Like to see you, I could never see you with anything else than what you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's like formed. It's like a part of you, and it works.
Yeah.
You know.
But at some point, you know, like I don't know, maybe with mixers they'll make one that's like, oh shit, okay, this is what we need to start using because they've made the leap to the next level or something.
No.
I mean, there always is that one for a few years. You know what I mean? This is the flagship one that you know, and then something else will
Advances.
come out,
Oh,
and there's new
technology
technology.
advances,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't like I.
Go ahead.
Come on in.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean, like I totally like embrace technology and I use it to my advantage. You know what I mean? But I don't try to let that like dictate my style and sound or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always against it. Like, I was always against like advancing with technology because I didn't feel I was there yet. But it's like you're never gonna be able to avoid it. So it was like, yeah, let's just fucking get with.
Right.
Like when Serato came out, I was like, nope, all vinyl, got to be all vinyl.
Right.
And then I was like, you know, or just shit like that. And it was like, wait a minute, you don't have to carry a crate of fucking records to a gig.
And you can have unlimited records.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or I mean, can you imagine going back to like a Tascam 4-track just to, you know, and be having to rewind and do all that shit? Like,
Fuck
like we're so
no.
used to seeing waveforms now and being
Yeah.
able to skip and do.
It's crazy too because I will occasionally work with people on analog, but like with Luke, I'm like, ugh, he's so good at like editing.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you just do the thing and cut it a million times?
You're the one who taught me that. Yeah, when we did the first,
Damn.
when we did that first, whatever the record in there that we
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
on. Yeah, because you do the block.
Yeah.
You showed me how to do the blocks, and that's
Okay.
how I work.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I'll go
Totally.
fuck with other people and be like, you can't do what Luke does? Like, you know, I'm very spoiled.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an X tweaker, you know. So I just
It does look crazy, you know, with all of the edits. You're just like, oh, that's insane. That's an
Right.
insane person right there.
Right.
Most people would be like, fuck that.
Most people want to see it as the structure of a song, and I don't see it. I see it as like my song is building blocks.
Blocks. Yeah.
So I always see it like as a Tetris game,
Mm.
and you're just fitting in here. And when you edit, and you're kind of like eliminating that line, and then to the next point until where it's like, oh, here's the song. Okay, here's
Right.
here's the exact shape of the song.
You're
but-
right. You're right. It looks like Tetris though.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking best game ever. Anyway, so
It's classic.
I mean, at some point when they had, I guess when DJ culture was becoming a thing, like, sorry, I'm gonna fucking sound like an asshole here, but like it's the fader, right?
Yeah.
Like that had to have evolved, right?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big
So
time.
so at some point, because that you're like brutalizing that fucking thing.
Yeah, and like in the 80s, you know, the mixer back then, you had to go to Radio Shack and get the realistic one. And they had this, I mean, the fader was so stiff, and it had this weird click in the middle, and you just,
like so you knew where the middle.
Yeah, and so you could barely scratch on that thing. You know what I mean? You had to throw spray in WD-40 to get it loose. You know, we had all these tricks of how to get it to be all loose.
we should have done the video with one of those mixers today.
Oh man, I know, right? We should have. You should have told me. Man.
I know.
I would have brought that.
I knew you had one.
And so like people that knew would be like, what the fuck are they doing with that piece of shit?
But the people who knew would be like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
Like,
because they had these VU meters on there too. You know what I mean? So it just looked 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
when Herbie Hancock watches the video, he'd be like, "Oh shit, they did that realistic."
Shit.
Man, let's give a shout out to Radio Shack though. They always had like the best shit. They did that. I know,
They're
but
done.
but they did that Moog.
Oh yeah, they did.
The what was it? The Moog. I can't synthesizer.
Yeah, I
The
can't
little.
remember the
I want to call it something that's not, but
Yeah.
And I remember finding one of those and using it in my other band, the Locust. Like we found one at a pawn shop, and we're like, holy shit! You know, there's the random like. I was like, oh, that's the best sound, you know.
That's probably worth a lot of money these days.
Now
man,
it is,
right?
yeah. We found one for $75 at this pawn shop, where I also got my first Rickenbacker bass for $210. It was crazy.
Yeah, no shit.
So, yeah. So like the gear question is interesting because it has evolved into something. But I wonder what the next step will be, gear wise.
Yeah, I mean now they have these hybrid. It's a turntable, right? Slash, it's a controller, so it's like you can play records on it, real vinyl, and on top of that you can connect it to your laptop directly, and you don't need actual vinyl to play. You can play it digitally, you know what I mean? So you can play it through like a program like Serato, and play your music through there, and it'll you know, you're able to scratch and release the record.
So it'll
that
make
way.
a wave, or it'll make a file, so you can see it in Serato.
So it's like have you seen those CDJs?
Yeah.
So it's like a CDJ, but on top of that, it has a tone arm with a needle, and you could put a record on and play a record at the same. So it's like trying to kill two birds with one stone. Yeah.
What do you think about CDJs?
I've always hated them, man. Yeah.
It seems pretty silly, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the platters didn't move also.
Yeah.
And there was just, you know, it was like a tiny little platter. It just
Yeah.
didn't feel right. It felt like you were on a, you know, instead of a surfboard, you were on those like boogie boards or something. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to
It was
put
like
it.
weird, yeah.
I did a tour with
Keyboard.
people that DJ'd on those, and I don't want to talk shit.
I
but
thought they were fucking lame.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of people that really close
Yeah.
with that are just it's just fucking lazy factor. I have one in the corner over there. It's not mine.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's fucking. But it's just annoying, and they do it just because it's for convenience. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's like, do I hate the product itself, or do I hate the fucking person who insists on fucking playing it? You know? And-
Right. I mean, you know, I think for simple mixing, like, you can get away with it, but anything beyond that and technical, like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
If you're
not.
playing like some pool party and everybody's dancing the whole way through, and you had a 30-minute slot and just come in,
Yeah.
boom, I get it.
Right.
But if we're doing a show, like if we were to do a Planet B show and you saw me just be like, you know what, I don't want, like, I didn't feel like bringing the MPC.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like bringing all this stuff. I'm gonna just fucking CDJ it tonight.
Okay, so
I'd be like-
I did a collaboration with these dudes that had CDJs. So
Okay.
you don't know who they are, I don't think. So, and I'm gonna not name them.
Yeah.
But like, so they're just fucking posers, right? Basically, let's go ahead and say that.
Name them first.
What kind of like? Because I mean, there's no like real technical
I know it is.
thing happening right there, right?
It's very basic if there is something happening.
Minimal.
It's very minimal. play or just jabba jabba, like a little sound effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But nothing
jabba,
beyond
jabba,
that.
yeah.
Jabba Jabba Doo.
Yeah. I just want to like put that out there. If anybody's listening to this knows what's up, then that's what's up.
Yeah.
What about a turntable keytar?
Keytar? What is that?
Keytars are fucking sick. Keytars are like the guitars.
Yeah, they remember Vestex made one.
Oh yeah.
They made one.
Yeah.
They remember they made it was the
Swamp or-
turntable,
Right.
and then it had the keys.
So what would be the point of?
They just did it for just to get a bunch of likes at the NAMM show. I'm sure.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you're scratching the note of the guitar, is that what's happening?
Oh, actually, that'd be sick. Like if you're playing the tone,
Yeah.
and then you can manipulate it. You know, like the controller one.
Right. I never got to mess around with that thing, that instrument you're talking about.
The move ones are sick
Yeah.
with like the strip where you like.
Yeah, you could bend it and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was quite like that though. It was just a regular like CDJ player, right?
Yeah, but it was like a turntable
Uh,
that you would. I don't know. Maybe I just dreamt this.
Yeah,
No.
that sounds bizarre.
But we were at NAMM show. They had it there at the Vestex booth.
yeah, I remember that, but it was just a CDJ basically, but you hold it
maybe.
upright basically. But I don't think
Yeah.
you could play any notes unless you saw something else that I couldn't remember. Yeah.
It's like the car record player.
oh
That's
shit,
our
yeah.
friend
What?
made that. Yeah,
Who
the
made
van. Chuck,
Oh yeah, that little
the
sound.
vinyl
wagon thing
killer.
that
Yeah,
goes
that's the guy who would fly us to fucking Japan to go play.
He made those.
Yeah, well, his company did. Yeah, the vinyl
Yeah.
killers, the little vans, and they go around the turntable. And
It's like a
they fucking-
Volkswagen.
No. I'm talking about cars that have a turntable.
Oh, I've only seen that in like a magazine or something.
Yeah, I've never seen one in real life either.
Okay,
It's,
okay.
but like you hit a bump and it's just like it's fucked.
Yeah, that's crazy right
Like
there.
put a turntable in the middle of your waterbed. Waterbed turntable.
Yeah.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah, totally. It pretty much sounds like it.
Who even owns a waterbed these days? Well, that's...
Sorry,
You have a
dude.
waterbed?
Nah, fuck.
Oh, I was about to say.
I don't know.
This is the worst. I stayed at my friend's house and
That's why I can't
and
sleep.
It got a hole and I woke up and I thought I
Oh,
peed.
Shit.
And I was a little kid, but I didn't pee. It was just a hole. Fucking stupid. That's a dumbass idea in the 80s.
The waterbed.
Whoever came up with this probably fucked up on cocaine.
Yeah.
So let's dive into like the Invisibl Skratch Piklz stuff. Like that's a pretty wild idea to get a bunch of you guys together, right? Or has
Yeah.
that been done before?
No, that was the first of its kind as far as like doing music
Yeah.
type stuff. So I joined the group a little bit later.
Okay.
I jumped in around 96, 97, but Qbert, Mixmaster Mike, DJ Apollo, DJ Disc, they were doing turntable band stuff earlier, like 94, 95. And
So that's a technical term, turntable bands.
turntable band,
Yeah.
basically, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's like,
It should just be band, but yeah.
yeah. But I guess they were trying to make it
Thing.
a statement with it, yeah. But they were doing that kind of stuff, and they were like experimenting with like MCs also. So they were doing the music live and having people rap, and then they got into battling. And I don't know if you've seen any of the DMC battles, but that's kind of the blueprint for it. And when I saw them doing that, then I realized, fuck, I don't want to just do this by myself. I want to do this as a band and make fucking music. And that's when the light bulb went off. And then when I got asked to join in like 96, 97, then I was like, fuck it, it's on now. Like, I fucking dropped out of school and I hit the road, you know what I mean? I got to finally, my first international show was Canada. It was at Calgary, and I was just happy to get out of the U.S., you know?
So kids that are listening need to drop out of school. I just want to say that. Okay.
Yeah. But I was lying to my parents, man. They thought I was in school.
Wow.
But I was just, taking the money, selling my books, taking it, you know what I mean? Using the money for whatever reason. And
Fuck.
For records.
yeah, whatever. Food and stuff. And yeah, I was, I knew I wanted to do music at that point, But yeah, it was a turntable band thing that I felt like was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
So how do you guys approach that though? The band element, like you're gonna be this instrument, this, you know, like you're gonna be this instrument?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their different strengths. So for example, Shortcut, he's a really good drummer. So he's usually
a good drummer on a turntable.
Yeah, yeah. So 80% of the time, he's usually drums. Qbert is a great soloist. You know what I mean? He loves to just he can just go off. He's like a Miles Davis, and he usually will be the soloist. I'll usually hold down the melodies or the bass line. You know what I mean? And that's sort of the structure of it right there.
Wow.
We can all like switch, and I can be the drums, or Q could be the drums. And I think that's the strength of a good band, is when you can just swap instruments or sounds. You know?
Sure.
What I mean? Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So I didn't realize you guys approached it like that.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like we have a structure, but it's loose structure, so it's not, it's sort of an organized sort of chaos. You know what I mean? We know kind of like what, like we know the chorus is gonna be 8 bars, but I don't know how long Q's gonna solo. He'll just give me a look like, all right, I'm done, or I'll kind of feel it out. Yeah,
and you know, like to end it, like even if you know, like when if it gives you that look, you gotta like, hey, you gotta fill it up to there. Then I'm gonna come in,
right?
And you can hear it in or watching you guys live. You know, like when you switch off, and you know, of course though, like Shortcut is like a master on the fucking drums. He's so like precise,
very precise,
very sharp and clear, and doesn't step out of his lane to show off.
Or
anything. He's very like
he knows how to compliment, how to lay out and all that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, show-offs are kind of a bummer sometimes.
Sorry.
Have you seen those like funny drummer videos where they just show a drummer going crazy?
Yeah. The ZZ Top one, church guy or whatever. That guy's fucking crazy.
Right.
I mean, I actually messaged that guy on YouTube and I was like, dude, can we start a band? And we were talking.
Way.
Yeah. What? But then I don't know what happened. I think I was like, whatever. But he looked fucking crazy, you know.
What about that drummer that was in I think it was in Japan or something?
Oh, it was like Korea or something.
Yeah, in the bunny outfit or whatever, and he just does the hardcore solo.
Oh, yeah. Like blasting and shit. He's like got a big old like grimace outfit or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's classic, man.
That's what you need to do. Get a fucking outfit, huh?
How do you guys feel about like bands that are in full like costumes?
Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's fine. It is what it is.
Right.
I mean,
if the music's good,
yeah,
then do whatever you want, but don't do it without perfecting the craft of the sound.
Music should be first, right?
Yeah, totally.
We always somehow managed to revisit G.G. Allen, but I feel like he didn't have like a uniform, but like he had a vibe. You know, like if you're gonna fucking take a shit on stage, his music sucked, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like there's a lot of bands that it's second. Like we look cool, but you sound mediocre.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I was in this band, the Locust, and we wore uniforms, but we didn't set out to do that. People were talking shit about the way we looked, and so we're like, well, fuck you, then we're gonna wear these things, and then it evolved into like a uniform.
Okay.
But you know, we were taking reference points from bands like Devo or Residents or even like later Beatles or something. You know, whereas like everyone looked fucking cool.
Right.
But we could play our instruments and write music.
There you go. I'm just curious, when you guys would tour, would you bring multiple like costumes of that, like, you know what I mean, to get through a month or whatever?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, we learned the hard way because you have to always have a backup one. Someone stole one of Gabe's uniforms once, and we were like, fuck, what do we do?
Right.
You know, like someone stole that shit. They're almost as valuable as like the pedal board or whatever, you know, weird instrument you have.
Right.
Right. But yeah, maybe the Skratch Piklz
and the lack of laundry mats while you're on the road.
Oh,
probably.
So
yeah, I'm sure.
Gabe's is always like salty, you know. We'd hang it up.
Oh yeah.
Where you see that sweat stain just dry, it's like a white whole thing.
Yeah.
Man. I had, dude, when I run, like I hang up my clothes and I come home, and I see that same fucking stain, and I always have to. I'm like,
whoa. It's like cat pee.
Oh, God damn it! Why did I do that? And I fall for it every time.
Let me just make sure this is gonna be disgusting.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a weird curiosity to that. Huh? I was like, let me smell this real quick.
Yeah, totally. It's fucking gross. But yeah.
So there's this other thing that you did, and it's like an institute for.
Oh.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So it's the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. and that's our DJ school in LA. It's in Glendale, but LA area. And it was started by myself and the Beat Junkies. And it's, we all came from the battle scene and from, some of the guys were doing radio, DJing, clubs. And we got to the point where, we don't want to do clubs anymore. We just feel too old and all that. And so we wanted to, open up a DJ school where we could pass on, all this information and this art that we love, and pass it on to the young kids. You know what I mean? So basically, we teach basic DJing, just the fundamentals. We teach scratching, trick mixing, beat juggling.
Is it similar to School of Rock or something?
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like
geared
that.
towards younger people.
It's all ages. We have kids that are 8 years old, and we have students that are 55-year-old. You know what I mean? And some people just it's more of a passion they've always wanted to learn. Some people are already working DJs and they just want to sharpen their skills or whatever. One thing we notice is a lot of people just have sort of bad habits where they've learned a weird way, like in their own weird way, because a lot of us started as bedroom DJs, and so we didn't really know what was right and wrong, and so we have weird habits where we hold the record the wrong way, and so we've learned from trial and error that there's certain ways that we could do things that are better and that make sense, and so that's kind of what we teach. You know what I mean?
Like breathing through your yoga poses.
Breathing through, yeah.
Yeah, the basics.
It is
right?
the same.
You're
yeah,
right.
It is.
It's breathing through everything.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I worked at this club for a while, and the owner was he would like headline DJ there because he was the owner, and I remember he went away to New York to go to DJ school, and I was like, "What the actual fuck, man?" And I would talk all this shit, like like who goes to fucking DJ school?
Yeah.
But so and I liked the guy. I just couldn't relate to him because he was like filthy rich, and I was a barback. I was like the lowest tier. But he wanted to be like a big DJ and like remix Britney, and so he would headline his DJ nights and be like, all right, you stop the music, I'm gonna play my Britney remix right now, and then he would fucking do it again. You're like, dude, you don't announce it twice or once. And so I had like talked so much shit about people going to DJ school, but now
Right.
so then I figured out what you guys do, and I was like, damn, man, that's like a little bit different than what I thought it was. But I'm pretty sure he was going to like just learn to be, you would put it in very eloquently as like a DJ opposed to a turntablist.
Okay.
So I think he was very much just wanted to DJ in the clubs.
Yeah, it sounds like he wants to be more of a producer too, where the remix thing and just kind of shout out himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I couldn't tell it was a fucking remix or not. I was just like, this sounds like the same song.
DJ Rich.
Yeah.
It wasn't called that. No.
We cutting that out?
No, it's fine. It was this guy Nick No, DJ Nick No.
Oh.
So.
Nick
But
Miller.
it's very, I don't know, touching when you guys post the clips of the kids and you have the fucking kids there and they're like learning,
man.
but some of them suck.
Yeah,
but
some are natural and some
They're
are
8 years
not.
old.
I know, and that's
Right.
they're like, but the fucking smile on their faces.
Oh yeah.
When they have them on the around the table, like the octagon or whatever
Right.
they're in there, just they're when you guys post the videos and you see their fucking smiles, I'm like, that's what it's about, right there. That's what makes them want to come back, and I'm sure they're in school,
Right, but
doing math and being like, one day I want to be like Dave and quit school and
Right.
play DJ.
yeah, they're doing math, but they're thinking of DJing. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Totally. That's how I
Yeah.
was. I was doing math and thinking about, I wanted to be Steve Harris, dude. I wanted to
Right.
fucking be an Iron Maiden.
Right.
And even though I did all of my work, while I was doing it, I was like, dunk, dugga, dunk, dugga, dunk, dugga, dunk in my fucking head.
Right. But you know what's crazy, man? The kids, they learn so much faster than the adults. You know what I mean? They're like sponges, right?
Yeah.
And like within like 1 year, it's scary how much they advance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And our kids right now, they're at the level where they can compete in those DMC competitions.
Wow.
Like they're that good, and they've learned in a span of 1 or 2 years. You know what I mean? That fast. And I wish as a kid we had that type of thing, because for the longest time, all the techniques that we do as far as DJs and, you know, the scratches, the beat juggles, that was all a big mystery. We had to study that from VHS tapes or from just listening to things on record, you know what I mean, and constantly play it back and slow it down and rewind it. And so now that we actually scienced it out and we can teach it, you know what I mean, the learning process is so much quicker now, and it's scary how advanced these kids are, man.
But you know, you all that figured that out teach these kids who are obviously able to get it really quick, but they're going to create the next thing that the world is going to get.
Yeah. And I mean, it's important that we let them know, like, look, we're just showing you guys this simple alphabet, but you guys need to take this further and find your own voice.
That's so cool.
I mean? So that's the point of it, right? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
And so is the Institute recognized, like, you know, musically?
No, I wish, but it's still at a young stage. You know what I mean? And we're trying to get to that point where, you know, maybe like a UCLA might be like, okay, this is an extension course that we could provide. But I think that's, you know, I think that'll come within due time.
I feel like it should be here. I mean, you already can go and like take college courses on like punk and stuff, you know, or hip hop or whatever.
Shit. They have that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I just was in Canada in Vancouver, and there's this professor that lives up there of a college up there, and I put out a book, and I don't know, I'm not a writer, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, kind of like my bands or whatever, but I remember at one point the publisher was like, "Hey, we just sold like a shitload of your books in Canada," and it turns out because it was on its syllabus and all the students had to buy it. Oh. So at one point I got in touch with him. I finally met him in person recently, but he's like, you know, teaching this. It's a cultural studies class on punk, which could mean anything. It could mean like, you know, No Effects, or it could mean Napalm Death, you know. But whatever it was, that was part of it. So I mean, I feel like if people are recognizing it on some sort of academic level, wherever you guys are at already, having this like established business, right? You know, like teaching kids, like it should be.
Yeah. I mean, there's an instructor out in I think it's in Boston. I'm not sure, but he teaches it, and he has people come out and do, you know, guest lectures and stuff. So I think that's someone we probably need to connect with, because he's already in that academic world, and you know, I know he knows about us. It's just we haven't really, you know, gotten on the same page with him. So
it's only like that one thing, and then once he does it, then all the other instructors will be like, oh yeah, we can do that too. Right. And then you guys just become lecturers.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny you mentioned
you go back to school.
I know, but like places like Canada and places in Europe, they always seem to be more.
Yeah, America sucks.
More ahead, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, man. Like, what
they don't know what the fuck's going on here,
right?
Like, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, DJ Nick went to class or went to school.
But I mean, where is he now though? Is he a big time?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So.
He sold his bar, and he was already rich as fuck. And,
how was his Britney Spears remix though?
I couldn't.
Was
tell
it better than mine?
No way. Yours was great. He had this cumbia one.
Oh, yours was the shit.
Yeah, that was the jam.
Yeah,
when we first became friends, I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah. He let me hear that shit too. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
That was dark Britney.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Right.
That's the shit that if like Nick was doing, I'd be like, oh yeah, I see why you went to school.
Right. I never thought I'd hear a Britney in that kind of like.
Me neither.
Right.
It was so good. We should maybe make that available somehow, and maybe we can add that to the end of
free
this podcast.
Download, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
But it was like a dark, spooky cumbia Britney remix, right?
Slow. It was like half-time.
Yeah. It wasn't cumbia though.
It wasn't.
No, I did another one.
I
think I did. I Kissed a Girl. Katy Perry. I Kissed a Girl.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
And then I mixed it with who's the girl who did what's the girl? Lick that pussy 'cause it tastes so good. The Playground girl. The Playground.
Who's that? Christina Aguilera?
What's that pussy? Oh, it's like,
it's so good. And I did Christina Aguilera too.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, one of the best.
Yeah.
Back
shit.
then, she was the best vocalist. But yeah, I did Katy Perry, I did Janet Jackson. That was the whole project. Was Filthy Pretty.
Oh.
It was like these pretty voices over filthy music.
Okay. We should put that shit out, man.
I know.
Yeah.
But you'd have to put it out for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
But I think maybe it goes
I
all.
don't make money anyways.
Yeah, the stuff we don't put up for free doesn't sell. But I feel like maybe it's like this full circle because it goes back to like how you were saying like when you guys first met, you're like, do you like Cannibal Corpse? Like what the actual fuck? So it is really, I think the people that are innovators come from, they're using stuff from 2 different worlds or multiple worlds.
Right.
Where when you're like the Nick No DJ, you're just like, I want to be just like this one thing. You're just tunnel vision and you're gonna not really innovate.
Right. He's definitely, just like trying to copycat something else, and we're trying to grab stuff from all over the place and create something new or whatever.
And he probably has enough money to fail and just be like, oh, okay, it didn't work out. I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah.
Like DJ school.
That is another interesting thing too, because it does come down to, like, again, like the capitalist aspect. Like if you're rich, I feel like you are a little bit, you're gonna be more comfortable and not experiment and not have the desire. Like, I don't know. I mean, all my friends, like, we'd always just grow up poor as fuck, and that's why we got into punk and hardcore, because we knew we could do the thing that was cheap. We couldn't be in a real like big rock band. We were just like, we're fucking scummy. We have broken gear, and we come from broken homes, and we're gonna make something, and that's what we did.
Do you think that's why a lot of like bands, like their first 2 albums are like better than anything because they're hungry, they're creative, and they make this fucking great album, and then they get signed to a label, and then the label's like, well, we want a 3-album deal. They release that first one when they're hungry, which is awesome. Then they throw them on the road and they give them all kinds of money, and then they're spending their money, and then the label's like, well, you owe us an album in 4 or 5 months or whatever,
so they fart
and then
out.
they don't have none of them have thought to get back into the studio, and because they're not hungry anymore.
It gets too polished at that point too, right?
That's what
I do. I mean, that might happen a lot because I mean there are bands like a good example would be Cattle Decapitation, who's like constantly not churning out records, but like I feel like they're evolving, and they're fucking really, really hardworking and passionate. Where a lot of bands do get success and they just fart around and don't put any effort into it. They get lazy. So I wonder what makes you either stay hungry or determined to make something cool, or if you're just like rich and you don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Right.
It is weird. That's all. I mean, I know I fucking mention this band on every podcast.
Don't do it.
Okay, I'm gonna change the name.
Pink Floyd.
Mink Moid. This band. No, but Pink Floyd, the same thing. After like Dark Side of the Moon got successful, they fucking toured. All of them fucking made all kinds of money, and they all bought their house. And Roger Waters went to go visit each band member, and he was just like kind of like disgusted because no other band member had he was like, his whole house revolved around a studio. When he recorded The Wall, he bought the house next door to the fucking studio. Because that's how obsessed he was with the album. But before that, after Dark Side of the Moon, he went to every like member's house, and he was like, he had the swimming pool with the diving board, and this guy had the fucking water slides and this and that. And he was like, not one other member had I didn't see one tape machine. I didn't see one recorder. I didn't see a room. I didn't see guitars. And he was like, my whole house was like, I built a fucking studio.
Right.
And that's how I think you get that luxury lifestyle. And, you know.
So you always bring up Pink Floyd, and I always bring up G.G. Allen. It's like G.G. Allen, you just stay fucked up on drugs and shit all over the place, and you'll never make anything good, but you'll stay consistent.
Yeah. I'm just not a poop person.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that you were able to almost get into the show, man. When he played out here, the show was out here.
The G.G. Allen show.
Yeah. I think you're the only person I know who's gone.
I mean, it's crazy. I went with my friend. Well, I didn't know. So like when I went, one of my best friends, Rob Moran, he was there. Like, and he was in this band Unbroken. Like we and then we started a band together later. Like in Some Girls, but we didn't know each other at the time. You know, so like some of my friends were there.
Wow.
That I didn't know were my friends yet.
Right. But you had to be 18 to get in there.
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I was 14. I might have been 13.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was fucked. Like, there's no reason I should have been there. It was so close to my house, though, and I was able to get there and like, try to
but you already knew who G.G. Allen was.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was till later, and so I had to play catch up on his whole shit. You know what I mean? Literally.
I discovered all the weird shit right away.
Damn.
We're really way too early.
Yeah.
Not Herbie Hancock.
Dude, but it was like, when did that come out? I was 8, I think, when that came out. When Rocket came out, I still have the same 7-inch I got when I was a kid.
Damn.
Sick.
That was life changing. Herbie Hancock.
I got to meet Herbie Hancock at NAMM.
What?
And I got him to sign my Herbie Hancock Rocket record.
Yeah.
I got
Holy
that shit.
You knew he was gonna be there?
Yeah, I knew he was gonna be there.
No, he just
that's
carries
why
it
I
with
brought
him all the time.
Maybe.
No, he was supposed to be at whatever.
Vinyl only.
Some booth, you know what I mean, playing piano. So.
Damn.
And he was probably pretty psyched, right? I mean.
Yeah.
It is weird when
he was a nice dude, actually.
Yeah.
Super cool guy. Man.
I got to see Stevie Wonder.
Oh, he was walking around everywhere.
Yeah, but me and Mike Boo got
shit.
to see him play in this little private room.
Oh, you saw him play?
Wow.
Yeah, play.
Oh,
And
okay.
you know who I got to see play with my son in a little private room? Billy Cobham.
No way.
Fucking, I shit
Really?
you not. It was amazing. Yeah.
Who's that?
Shit.
His drummer, Mahi Vashnu Orchestra. I mean, he's sampled through hip hop.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Wow,
plenty
you saw him
of times.
play? What the hell?
He was at the NAMM show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. I went to a wedding and Tom Waits performed
No way.
a song for the bride and groom.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
No shit.
Like, that's the shit when you go to that. But I was gonna say something about, like, we were talking about Herbie Hancock and Glenn Danzig's a fucking butthole. We talked about him on the
Really?
on the previous podcast. But yeah, he's a total butthole. But I went to meet Glenn Danzig when the first Danzig album came out, and I was a big fan of Sam Hain and Misfits. So, and Danzig was fine, but I went, and I remember like all the people in line at Tower Records like had the Danzig record, or they had like bootleg Misfit shit, and he wouldn't sign any of the bootleg Misfit shit, you know, which is fine. But I remember thinking ahead of time, like, all right, I'm gonna bring like this rare Sam Hain record because it had members of Sam Hain in it, but I brought the Thrasher from 1986 or 84, I can't remember, with him on the cover, and I remember that's not a bootleg, it's a fucking rad weird other thing, you know.
Right.
And I remember like, and Chuck Biscuits, I brought this Hardcore California book that I had Chuck Biscuits sign, so like everyone was psyched on the shit I had. It was like I didn't show up with the Danzig record,
Right.
or I didn't show up with the bootleg, I showed up with like the weird deep cut weirdo like Thrasher and the book, and you know, people, they were like, look at this, you know, and like we were just like hanging out, you know, and I was a little kid, I was like 15, you know, just like hanging out with Danzig, not where like everyone else is like, sign it and get the fuck out of my face, you know.
Right. Yeah, you had the rare shit, man.
But it's just like the way you like look at it, and like, you know, I mean, I don't know what Herbie Hancock's like thing would be, but for me it'd be like, I'm taking my fucking Rocket 7-inch, dude. Like that's what I'm getting signed.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Cool. We could probably cap it there.
Okay.
It's a bit, yeah.
Anything new you're working on, or anything you want to talk about?
He's gonna start a band with some drummer that we know.
Processing.
Yeah,
those fish tacos?
I'd love to experiment with other musicians, man. Like I love like doing the turntable band thing, but you know, I have fun like just creating noises and sounds with other musicians. So
yeah, I mean, the shit you did on the Planet B record, that if anyone hears this will not know the song yet, it blew my mind. It was like so fucking rad. It's so rad. Like,
Thank you. I edited that.
I don't know. For me, like when I first heard it, it felt like when I first heard Rocket.
whoa,
You know,
really?
like I was like,
Yeah.
holy fucking shit! I'm on this song with this dude that's killing it. You know.
Oh shit!
So if you want to put up with us some more, we could do a full record or whatever.
I would love to, man.
Okay.
I would love to. Yeah. Am I only on one song?
Mm-hmm.
Oh damn! I thought I was on more than one song.
You should be on more.
Should have been. That's a Scapeface stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is also sick too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's coming out. So
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks for everything.
No, man, thank you, man. I'm excited for the new album. Can you guys talk about what the title is, or is that too soon?
I mean, no one knows anything about it yet.
Not
but
yet.
I don't know. We've been waiting for over a year for the
fiction
album.
prediction. By the time this comes out, it'll be announced.
Fiction prediction?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
excited for that, man.
So there you had it. Episode 34 of the Cult and Culture Podcast. We hope you enjoyed yourself. I'd like to say thank you. Maybe this guy does too.
Yep.
Um,
Thank you
yeah.
to
Earthquaker Devices
these badass guys. Boom.
for always hooking it up.
Yep.
They are the best. We'd also like to thank Fender, Heartwork Coffee, you, the listener, Ruinous Media, Becky, Andy. I don't know, probably some other people.
Don't get offended if we forgot you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah. Check out other podcasts. They're streaming in other places that you get your podcasts from. And thank you for the support. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Yep.
Cult and Culture is proudly sponsored by Earthquaker Devices, Fender, and Heartwork Coffee.
Planet B.